You're not supposed to play Clue with less than 3 people.
Fewer.
What?
Fewer, not less. People aren't counted as less.
And here, we're all less. In fact, we're the very least.
I find your obsession with rules to be puzzling.
You can't leave this place unless you understand the rules. The outside world runs on rules.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. That's what makes this a farce.
Games run on rules, though. Can we at least agree on that? Social interaction is based on game theory.
So, you intend on leaving this place then?
You're not?
Only under my own conditions.
And what are those conditions?
I'm supposed they let us play Clue in an insane asylum. That's a violent game.
They changed the cards. There are no weapons in this version of Clue. They turned the whole thing from a murder to a surprise birthday party. It's now Professor Plum in the drawing room with a lovely flower and Miss Peacock in the kitchen with a delicious cake.
No knife, no pipe, no gun?
No.
You ever consider the significance of the gun?
What do you mean?
Historically, metaphorically, spiritually?
It's just a game.
Nothing is just a game. Isn't a Ouija board also a tool for communing with the dead? And Monopoly a tool for channeling the spirit of capitalism? The game of Clue then is a means by which we come to view every item created by man as a vector for murder.
That's absurd.
Name me one human invention that cannot be repurposed for murder.
Teddy bear.
Infect with smallpox.
Feather.
Dip it in poison.
Child's teething ring.
Again, poison.
You're adding things to these objects.
Only context.
You must deal with the things themselves.
So I must create a philosophy of things outside the human experience and use. That's called object-oriented ontology. In that way lies madness. And feathers are not a thing made by man.
I was thinking one of those long feathered pen things. A quill.
Still not man-made.
But the inkwell is, and that's an essential part of the quill. And it's been repurposed enough to make it useless to the natural world. So I stand by it.
You're adding things to your objects. You must deal with the things themselves.
You deal with the dice. It's your turn.
I will 2 spaces. Fits and starts, fits and starts.
One.
It can be 1.
It's 1.
You cannot roll a pair of dice and come up with any number less than 2. It's impossible.
I don't accept 7 as a real number, so I'm choosing to ignore the number 6. I move 1 space.
Why don't you ignore the 1 and use the 6?
Because then I'd pull ahead of you, and I'm not confident enough to take the lead in anything. I'm more comfortable trailing behind.
If I keep getting 2s and you keep disregarding numbers, we'll never finish this game.
Would that really be so bad?
What's wrong with the number 7?
You never know what you're gonna get with the number 7. 7 sins, 7 virtues, 7 heavens, 7 hells, the 7 primary emotions of God, the 7 aspects of the devil. Who would want to mess with all that? No. Avoid 7s and you preserve your sanity.
It's already too late for all that.
Do you think we're unfixable?
I don't think I need to be fixed.
You're in an insane asylum.
Yes, it's where I am, not what I am.
That's a fine distinction.
Every place I go, Everywhere I sit, I am the thing that doesn't fit.
That's sad. 2.
It was my turn.
Game time is only an hour, then it's dinner, then it's group, then it's medication. I'd like to enjoy this time if I can.
You're ahead of me now.
Still plenty of time to fall behind.
You aren't behind. You're merely out of step.
You say that as if it's only a slight defect.
There's nothing wrong with being out of step.
We're here because we're out of step.
We're incarcerated for being out of step? Is that what you're saying? And here, they will teach us the appropriate steps. And when they're done, we can simply waltz out the front door.
I find it helps to think of therapy like a dance class. They place these little paper footsteps all along the floor. And you can see them, but you're awkward. Your body doesn't work right. Your feet can't find the steps. You need to be trained to find the steps. Getting sane is like learning to use your legs all over again.
Seven. You are clinging to rigidity. You think rules will be your salvation, as if madness is ever bound by rules. You say there are rules to this game, but those in charge replace the cards and alter the game. You say there are rules to dance. Have you ever seen a Balinese dance performance?
No, I'm not.
Their dance portrays the internal dissolving and reforming of the world. The creation and destruction of everything told in footsteps and gestures. They dance with their legs and their arms and their fingers and their eyes. No scraps of paper with feet drawn on them. No dotted lines and arrows. You're trying to separate dance from madness. Nothing truly good and beautiful can never be entirely separated from madness.
I miss the old cards. I do. I miss the weapons. You know, the first time I learned about this game was also the first time I learned about sex.
Wow. Now I'm intrigued.
I was 13, and some friends had gotten a hold of some porno magazines. We rode our bikes to the woods near my house. It was 4 of us, 2 boys and 2 girls, and we sat on the dirt, each of us with our backs against separate trees, quietly flipping through a magazine, slowly trying to decipher what was going on. And I saw a cartoon of an older man with a mustache, and he was bent over a couch, vigorously inserting a candle into his asshole. And in the back, at an open door, there was a group of people looking shocked, and the caption read, "So it was Colonel Mustard in the library with a candlestick." And I kind of got it, but not really. I didn't know the rules of the game. Also, I wasn't entirely sure what sex was, but I was completely surprised to learn that it could be that.
A candlestick. An object to illuminate the darkness, a weapon for murder, a means for pleasure. If we can't even come to an agreement of the essence of an object, and I'm not strictly speaking of an object's use like feather versus quill, I mean its very essence, pleasure, death, or revelation, how can we be sure that there's a proper definition of madness and sanity? How can we be sure that there's a line between them? How can we be sure which is good and which is bad?
I know what's good and what's bad. And I'm intimately familiar with the role an object plays in that distinction. Just as I know what it means to make an object the tool of your essence. to make an object an extension of yourself.
All games of clue should be played in exactly this way.
In what way?
As an interrogation of objects, as a virtualization of spaces, as a confession of bad intentions and madness.
It was me. In the kitchen. With the rope. Just me. Alone. That's why I'm here. I don't like to talk about it in group because it just seems so cliche. It seems small, but everyone has the same story in group. They talk about the rope, about the ritual, about the tying of the knot, the feel of it against your skin, the pull, the gasping for air, the crushing, the bruising. That's what stays with them. But that's not what stays with me. It isn't the object that I remember so vividly. It's my feet. After I tip the chair over, kicking in the air. I remember the tips of my toes brushing against the overturned chair, trying to figure out the steps, to find their footing, trying to learn the dance.
It was me. With a gun and a bedsit, which is what we call a one-room apartment in a boarding house. I had a desk, a chair, a bed, a sink, and a hot plate. I had no window.
So, you tried to kill yourself too?
No, of course not. I've been in and out of asylums for nearly a decade, and I've never had the obsession of suicide. Though there have been some doctors and psychiatrists that made me reconsider my position on the matter.
Then what were you doing with the gun?
Considering its significance.
And what was significant about it for you?
A painting of a gun is a representation of a gun. It is not the gun itself. A gun on a card in a game of Clue is a representation of a painting of a gun. For the purposes of us deranged and excitable folk here at the asylum, they changed the gun card to a smoking pipe. The handle becomes the bowl, the chamber becomes the shank, the barrel becomes the stem, and the front sight becomes the lip. How utterly and unintentionally perfect. Never mind representations. Even our things are not our things. You've come here to regain a sense of what's real. Aren't you troubled by how unreal this all is?
I'm troubled by a great many things. At least by being here, I feel like I'm taking some sort of action.
Yes, precisely, action. What is a gun that has never been fired? What is a rope that has never been uncoiled? They're representations. They might as well be paintings and not the things themselves. And in that spirit of making my gun real, I fired it. Through my door into the hallway, through my wall into the alley outside. Have you ever seen sunlight through a bullet hole? Oh, it's a marvelous thing. The way it maintains its narrowness and cylindrical nature for so long before it widens and disappears into the shadows, into the corners of a very dark room.
We've been playing for quite a while, yet we hardly moved.
Yes, but we solved it. We know who done it. You with your rope in the kitchen, me with my gun and the bedsit. real question, I suppose, is what's next?
We both have a lot left to learn.
And unlearn.
Fits and starts.
When it's time to leave, I propose we both dance through the doors of this place.
Can we waltz?
Only if we waltz with our feet and our arms and our fingers and our eyes. Only if we can agree that the word is not the thing, that the map is not the territory, and that the dance are not the steps.